In this video we are going to see how to use a list view control in a Windows Forms application using Visual Studio 2010. Before we start, I assume you already have a Visual Studio 2010 installed on your machine. So fire up your Visual Studio 2010 and create a Windows Forms application. Once your application is created, now you simply go to Toolbox and drag and drop a list view control from Toolbox onto the form. After control is added to the form, you can resize it, relocate it wherever you want to move it. And then next thing we are going to do is create a set its properties. Right click on the control and hit properties. As you can see, the properties window pops up here. First thing I'm going to do is change the name. I'm going to change name to authors list view. Now list view is no different than any other controls available in Windows Forms, except it has some extra features. If one other thing I want to mention before we go further, if you are just looking for a control that just lists some items and you can sort them and move around, select them, I would recommend you go to list box control. Do not use list view control. List view control is much more complex, and it's more useful when you are trying to display complex items, such as some items may have images, some items may have different views. The same items can also be different. They may have different images. Then you can also probably say group those items based on different categories and things like that. So what I would recommend, if you just need a simple listing or item to be listed in a control, I suggest you go back to your list box control and try to use that. So let's get back to our list view control. So as you can see from properties, we can set all the properties from here. You can set border style, you can set any other properties from here, and you can also set context menu columns. If you want to add multiple columns, you can also do that. So as soon as you click on columns, you will see column header collection editor pops up. Here you can say add different columns, where name of the header is column header 1. I'm going to change that to name header. If you look at here, a column header also has a text. You can change the text to say name or say author name, and you can align it obviously with add another, say alright. So we added 3 columns. Now let's go back to items property. Items property actually adds items to a list view control. Now there can be different ways you can add items. So first, before we go into more details, let's just add few items. First we are going to add simple text items, simple strings. So if you click on items, you will see list view collection, list view item collection editor appears. So add. As soon as you add, you will see list view item is added, where a list view item can have its own properties, can have its own background color, it can have its own font, everything. It can have whatever you want. And text, say you can have tooltip for text. You can also assign some groups, images, which I'm going to discuss later. Add one more item, say actually add few more items. I'm going to add is few more items to the Obviously you can remove items using remove button. Okay, so as you can see, we added 5 items to the list view control here. Now one thing you may notice here is all these items are all in one row, but since it's just a string, so I would rather have them listed in a list box item. So here's the main difference between list box and list view. A list view can be used to provide multiple views of the same data, same item. So if you look at the view property, this is a very important property of list view that makes a control list view, not a list box. So as you can see, by default large icon property is set as a view. So if you click on this little icon, you will see it has 1 2 3 4 5. It has 5 different views. So it can be tile. If you change tile, you will see the view changes. If you go to list, so as soon as I change my view to list, as you can see, all items are displayed in a list manner. So I can even change the resize of column and do everything else. I can select anything I want. So I'm going to discuss all these different views in my next video. I don't want to make this video like a 2 hours video. So in this, let's add few more, change few more properties, and then we are almost done with this. So multi-select is true already, show groups is true, scrollable is true, show tooltips, I would say true. Alright, can label, edit labels, can change header style, what kind of header you want, a clickable header, non-clickable, none, there's no header at all, say yes. Grid lines, you can show grid lines true. This is important when you will have multiple columns in multiple rows. Full row select true. So these are all general properties you will see. One more thing you can do is dark property. If you say fill, it's going to fill in the whole form. So let's hit F5, which will build and run this sample. What you will see is a list box kind of looking list view control, where you can select items, and you can also see tooltip if you notice. So this is it for this part 1 of list view tutorials. I'm going to discuss more functionalities and properties and methods available in list view control in my next videos.